these are the tools required for the safe handling and hooking of pike once you've caught the fish. I appreciate that lots of different people use different types of tools. Some may not have a full library of tools like we've got here, but these are the ones that I think and we use often. So one at a time. Basically, we've got some wire cutters here. Hopefully you'll never get into a situation where you deep hook a pike, but we will be talking about that particular type of hooking, and it's all to do with the strike, but we'll come back to that in a later series. So these are absolutely pivotal if you ever need to cut any traces, cut any barbs, or cut any shanks off of any hooks. So a real nice sharp pair of wire cutters. The next tools along the long nose pliers. Pike being obviously a big fish with big jaws, sometimes you may have to just stretch down or stretch into a pike's mouth, and these come in absolutely superb for that. You don't use them often, and I suppose if you learn the techniques of striking early, then you probably never need to use half of these tools, but they need to be in your armament when you're going out pike fishing. As we said, I can't stress enough, it's all about preservation and care. They look a tough fish, but they're not really. We've got some even stronger snippers here, basically perfect for cutting trebles, if ever you need to get some hooks out of the fish pretty quickly, or even into your landing net. We'll be talking about that in probably the next few minutes, but these are great just for cutting the barbs. They're really strong, make it very easy. There's a few little tools along here, they all have the little uses. We're not saying take some of these, but I'll show you a pair of forceps that you do need. In fact, I'll show you two pair of forceps that you need. In case you lose one, you've got a spare set. If you don't go with forceps, I suggest you just pack up and go home, because those are the most important bits of tools that you'll need for pike fishing, and here they are. There's a couple of different brands. I don't want to talk about any brands, but there's three sort of big ones that are all vying for a little bit of the market, and these are absolutely superb. You can kind of like just pin them on there, put them in a pocket, but always have them somewhere safe where you can get to them quickly. That's the other set, just slightly smaller. Some people like long nose, the longer forceps. Basically, I like the short ones. They're all nice and comfy, and they all do a really easy job. The hooks that we use we'll be covering in another series, another episode, but they're all semi-barbless, and they're quite easy to get out. The other bit in the pack is just a knife, and basically that's just for dead bait preparation through winter. I've never used it for anything else, but you won't need it for protection, I'm sure. And then obviously we've just got a nice little roll sack, and that just goes into his rucksack. It's easy, it's not too heavy. And as I say, I can't emphasise enough that you've got the tools for the trade when you go out pike fishing. Obviously, the pike are long fish, they're big fish, very similar to carp angling. We've got a decent unhooking mat here. Get the pike on there, get it into a position to unhook it, which we'll be covering in a later series. And obviously then you've got your tools to get the fish unhooked quickly, and obviously get it back into the water safely with minimal or no damage at all. I'd like to talk to you about the nets required for pike fishing. Everybody's got their own preferences on this. Some use obviously meshless carp nets, and they're okay. We found them a little bit difficult when you're actually getting the pike into the net. Sometimes you can get the treble hook stuck into the material, and that is really tricky. Not only does it get into the holes of the material, it also pierces the material as well. And if it's on that single barbed hook, it's really difficult. And we talked earlier about pike preservation and getting them back into the water as quickly as you can. You don't want to be fumbling about trying to unhook the failing trebles out of the material before you start unhooking the pike. You can see by the size of these nets, they are specimen nets. These two particular nets are both rubber nets, and the reason we use rubber nets is because of the material problem that we talked about earlier. It's very difficult to pierce this material, and it's very unlikely that you'll get your hooks stuck into the material with a rubber net. They're both different sizes. We have two nets set up usually. We're not saying that you have to take two nets, but if you're using two rods, it's sometimes not a bad idea. When pike go on the feed, it can be really difficult, and you potentially might get two runs both at the same time. Hence the reason you probably would need two net heads. This is a really strong pike dedicated landing net handle. It's a solid handle, there's no play in it whatsoever, and it's only, as you can see, it's probably 4 or 5 feet long. Perfect for its application. As always, when you're landing pike, you obviously want to get the net really low down, get it under the fish at the water bank or the water side, and basically when you've caught the fish and the fish is in the net, then do what you'd normally do if you were catching any other big fish. You don't want to be bringing it in on the handle and stressing the handle and potentially stressing this, which could break, and then you know, the pike could end up on the bank side. Basically get 2 hands around the net, and safely carry the fish back to your unhooking mat. We've laid 2 unhooking mats. I know we spoke earlier about them, but there's 2 types of unhooking mat here. One's bigger than the other, and it's down to you basically to take the one that you prefer. As I say, this is just our general preferences. People have got loads of other ideas, and that's not an issue, providing you're keeping the fish safe. What we have seen is some horrendous examples of fish mistreatment, and really that's what this video is all about. It's just making sure that these fish come out to enjoy, and then obviously put back safely for another day for another angler to maybe enjoy it as well. And that really kind of wraps it up. So 2 big rubber nets there. They're not cheap, I grant you that, but they'll last for years and they're excellent for the application. So we hope to see you in the next edition, where we'll be talking about pike traces, pike lures, the hooks that we use, and maybe a couple of different versions as well. Lots of different rigs that are used for different appliances on different waters. We'll talk about baits used, and even maybe a bit of pike watercraft as well.